What is going on, boys and girls? I am that socially awkward gamer you probably forgot existed, otherwise known as Patty Jack. And welcome to episode 3 of How to Be a Socially Awkward Gamer. In the last episode, we covered how to make any one-on-one social interaction completely and utterly awkward. But today we are moving on and we are going to be teaching you guys how to be awkward in group excursions. Now, the comment I chose specifically asked for parties, but that is for another day and for a higher caliber of awkwardness. Before we can understand that, we need to understand how to act awkward in a basic group activity. Now, in a one-on-one situation, awkward silence is a great tactic. However, when you're in a situation with multiple people, being completely silent can get you lost in the shuffle, and you may be turned into a bystander instead of an awkward person. So here's a few easy ways to help make sure you continue to be awkward even when in groups. Tip number 1. Don't be a part of the group. When you see a group of friends and acquaintances congregating in a social area, they will naturally form a circle. As a socially awkward person, you do not want to be part of that circle. Instead, you want to linger, or better yet, stand on the outside of it. By standing outside of the circle, you're letting everyone know that you are not comfortable in groups of people, and you really freak out the person you're standing behind. Make sure when you're standing behind them, though, that you're a good half a foot away. Not so much that you feel discontinuated from the group, but close enough that you give them an eerie feeling when you're standing behind them. Now, tip number 1 is not always possible, because groups of people are not always going to be in a situation where they're all standing. Sometimes you may be at a restaurant or sitting at a table at work or at school. So this brings me to tip number 2. Sit beside someone whom you are not friends with. Because the chances are, in that group, there's going to be 1 or 2 people whom you don't know quite as well as the rest. And as a socially awkward person, you shouldn't know them anyways. So what you should do is make sure you sit beside them. And if you're in a restaurant booth or sitting in a movie theater, sit on the outside seat. This forces the acquaintance to either ask you to get up or do the awkward shuffle pass in order to get past you if you're in a movie theater. In the company of good friends, this may not be a big deal, but in the presence of an acquaintance, the awkwardness skyrockets. Now, along with tips number 1 and 2, you'll also want to employ some of the awkward silence lessons we learned in the last video. So if you haven't already, I recommend you go back and watch that video in order to employ the techniques we learned there and apply them to group excursions. After you've done all this and applied your awkward silence techniques, you've successfully made whatever group activity it was completely and utterly awkward. And that is it for episode 3 of How to Be a Socially Awkward Gamer. Now, episode 4 is going to be based on parties, but if you have any ideas on what episode 5 should be about, please leave them in the comments section below. I will choose my favorite one and you will be featured in episode 5. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. I would be super appreciative. You can also hit me up on Twitter anytime you want at Patty_Jack or on Facebook. Links to both of those in the description below. And remember everyone, don't be social, play video games. Patty Jack out.